did a great job explaining what this is all about, and I thank him for that. I thank him for his work on this. I mean, the bottom line, and I'd say to my friend Mr. Armstrong, and I want to thank you, sir, for standing up for the Constitution last week and affirming and confirming the Electoral College votes. You and a number of other Republicans, and I'm sure you're taking some grief. People are complaining to you about that, but I do appreciate that. I disagree, however, with how you've described this, and I appreciate that you were a defense lawyer. And I would say to my friend, Mr. Cole, I see him sitting down, the flaw of your logic, Mr. Armstrong, and Mr. Cole's logic, because you say a lot of things that I would agree with, except this is to prevent future behavior. This isn't looking, it isn't looking back and we're trying a particular case. The best evidence of what you're going to do in the future is what you did in the past. And this is more like a domestic kind of a situation where you want to make sure that there is protection. The oath says to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution, and the president didn't do any of that in this particular instance. Do we want to be proceeding with an impeachment with 8 days left? Hell no. That isn't something we want to do. We want to have the peaceful transition. We would like to get this finished. We want Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to be sworn in. But there are threats that have surfaced for next week, similar to the threats that occurred last week. And we need to make sure that there's somebody who wants to preserve, protect, and defend. And, Mike Pence and I served together. And I have to say, I appreciated the way he conducted himself. He was threatened to be hanged. I think the only thing I would say to my friend, Mr. Armstrong, that makes all of this difficult is that each and every one of us is a witness, and each and every one of us is a victim of what occurred last week. And each and every one of us has a responsibility to do whatever we can to make sure it doesn't happen again next week, and that there is a transition of government. And so I appreciate the argument my friend makes. I appreciate what Mr. Cole said, but it doesn't deal with preventing something going on in the future. And with that, I yield back to the chair.
Thank you. Mr. Reichenthaler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It took me a second to